Okay, slight change of plans. We're going to go ahead and eat first because some of the materials that are needed for the presentation aren't here yet. So if everyone would please rise, we'll go ahead and say the prayer, get the blessing from the bishop.
Otca i Syna i Svetoga Duha, prema svevišnjem Duhu. A Oče naš, iže jesi na nebesje,
da svjati se ime Tvoje, da pride carske Tvoje, da bude Tvoje Tvoje, jako na nebesi i na zemlji. Hljeb naš daš nam dnes i ostavi nam dolge naše, jako žemi ostajemo dužnikom našim, i ne uvedi nas u iskušenje, izbavi nas od lukavoga. Slava Otcu i Sinu i Svjatomu Duhu i njeni i svega i vjeka mi, Gospodi pomiluje, Gospodi pomiluje, Vladiko svjati blagoslovi.
Hrista Bože blagoslovi jastie, biti ravno svojego sjatije se segdaninje i prisne o vijek i vjekov. Prijatno. Okay.
Okay. Set.
Yeah. You're good to go, man. Oh, wait a minute. He's sitting on his card.
You could have found the dog.
That's his. Oh, that's your card. Dad. Martha. Martha, for his birthday. Oh, I thought you had a card for her. For Joe. That's his birthday card. It says Dad. Martha. Martha. Yeah. Martha's gone already. Well, he's got it. I've been behind her. Well,
My kids have never paid.
evidently not.
Always got it.
Yeah, but you know what? Read the nice note I put in there. It's worth it. There's no money in there, but she got a nice note. I put money in there. It's worth $1,000. I put nothing in there.
How'd you like the wine?
Like it.
Henry, all the Henry tables, please go first. Who? You get to go first? Yeah, we'd like the 3 reserved tables for the Henry family to go ahead and go through the line first, and then everyone can follow after.
And at 1 o'clock is that our plan? You don't even circle.
logged in.
Now I think you got to do.
I'm logged in. No, yesterday it just went automatically.
Try going down to HDMI.
Yeah.
And then go down to HDMI.
No, but here.
But try HDMI.
Wow. Okay. Angelos Putnika. There you go. Yep, we're good. Paul, hit the light. Now let's see. That'll be alright. Are you going to let Stephanie know again?
I emailed her the link.
Yeah, but like that we are starting now. I'll text her. Is it going live?
What's that?
Is it going live?
It's live right now. We're live.
Okay, we're going to start the presentation here in a second, but we got a couple things here. We had a couple birthdays. We got Dana Myers. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dana. Happy birthday to you.
Michelle Kimball.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Michelle. Happy birthday to you.
Anybody else?
Raise actors. Too late. This is Ray's birthday now?
I don't know if he's here. All right, we're going to turn this over to Bishop Sava.
Thank you. Tonight's dinner entertainment is brought to you by Sava Gallery Wojciech of the Sava Renovation Committee. Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time to see what exciting stuff we're doing up there at St. Sava Monastery in Libertyville. All the details are going to be in this presentation. I'm not going to do spoilers, but as for the main question that people ask us when we talk about this, is this for real? The answer is yes, this is for real. You'll see the details. The prints are done, submitted for permits. Permits are going to come out any day now. We made the first payment already to the contractor. He has gotten a whole bunch of supplies ready to go as soon as the permits are done. We got permits for the building and electricity and water supply and sewage, which is another fun story in itself. Requires us digging under Milwaukee Avenue, which is a 4-lane highway. So, yeah, this is why we have the EPA, so they can give us extra homework to do. So those are our new best friends, the North Shore Water Reclamation System and the Illinois EPA. But anyway, we are hoping that if we keep the ball rolling, and the contractor also said so, that all of this can be done by the next summer, a year from now, or a month less than a year, so that we can kind of reopen the building officially with the camp season, and then continue with all the other functions that that building is going to have to serve. So I'd like to turn it over to my friend Sava and Valerie to do the presentation. I'll be sitting down here as tech support, and I'll be available for Q&A.
It's really a show now.
Take it away.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Valerie Boychinen, and I'm joined with my husband Sava, and we are members of the steering committee and honored to be your parish representatives for the long-awaited St. Medarea Spiritual and Cultural Renovation Project. Today we're also a bit of interlopers on the very happy occasion of the ordination of Father Joseph to the priesthood. Sava and I, along with our home parish of St. Basil in Lake Forest, and our parish priest, Father Miloš Živković, congratulate Father Joseph, his beautiful family. What a moment in church today. It was beautiful. And the St. George community on his elevation to the priesthood. True to form, St. George is generous with its hospitality and for your time today. Standing up here is a lot easier when I see so many familiar faces out in the crowd. So there's a song, I'm going to date myself. It says, see some good friends who are good for the soul. So it's good to see everyone in Kansas City. And shout out to our friends in Duluth, Minnesota, who are on Zoom. So we're going to start off today with our building restoration presentation. This is going to be the overview of what we intend to cover. What we're going to cover this afternoon, and hopefully in Serbian style, not talk too long. Okay. This is our steering committee. Once the diocese recognized the need to restart the renovation project, Metropolitan Longing appointed this group of individuals to bring the St. Medadia Spiritual and Cultural Center to completion. His Grace Bishop Seraphim leads the committee in the day-to-day work. I can honestly say he is very hands-on. Regardless of what time zone, what day of the week, he is accessible, he's knowledgeable, he's our IT guy, thank you, and very dedicated to the success of this project. And most importantly, he's completely committed to transparency, and that is very much appreciated. The remainder of this committee is comprised of engineers, accountants, public relations folks, business owners, attorneys, and moms and dads, and a couple newer bubbas who keep us all in line, who are up there. I'm going to give you a couple seconds. I hope you can read that, our mission. And really, what's so wonderful and heartwarming is within our mission, it is breathing life into these sacred grounds. And that's what this is all about. It's about St. Medadia, the man and the saint, and it is also about us, the collective, all of us. How he saw us, how he sees us, and how he will use us as his faithful stewards of our Orthodox faith and our heritage. It will also honor Saint Nikolai Velimirovic, the giant of the 20th century Orthodoxy and Serbian Chrysostom, who chose his monastery as a resting place. So I'm going to hand it over to my partner in crime over here.
So, good afternoon and congratulations again, Father. What we'd like to do is cover just a little bit of the history of St. Sava Monastery. When I look out here, some of this may be a refresher course, and to some others it may be an introductory course. But as you may or may not know, the St. Sava Monastery grounds up in Libertyville, Illinois, where it was the land on which it sits was purchased in 1923 by the saintly Bishop Nikolai Velimirovic and Bishop St. Medadia as a place to establish a monastery and a gathering place for Orthodox Christians of any type, but particularly those of the Serbian heritage. From the 1930s to the 1940s, that was the period of time where the monastery chapel itself was constructed, along with the establishment of the adjacent cemetery. There was farmlands and various other things that were ongoing there at the site of the monastery. In 1923, the monastery was consecrated and was off and running on its way. It was officially consecrated in September of 1931, and the committee found a little note about its consecration way back when that we thought we would share with you. The Surrogan wrote, "The day of consecration will be the day of pride for all Serbian people on this side of the Atlantic. On that day, all hard work and sacrifices will be crowned. It took too long to build a monastery. The road was a thorny and difficult one. The economic situation of the country was a difficult one. Serbs, however, succeeded building a beautiful place that they must be proud of." That was almost 100 years ago. In very short order, the camp became a focal point of Serbian Orthodoxy, culturally and spiritually. And as many of us know, and some of us may be alumni, the first St. Sava camp was held there beginning in the 1940s. How many of you out there were campers at St. Sava camp? There's a couple of you. I'm an alumni. My wife Valerie's an alum. My Baba was one of the first camp moms. My mom was a nurse there, so it's we all know how near and dear the facility and the place is to those of us who attended. It was brought on with the help of Father Milan and his Protinca Brkic. Here's a couple of pictures that may be very familiar to you. The St. Sava Monastery for a century has been the backdrop for countless memories, and the St. Sava camp building was and still is an extension of that spirit. It's where children laughed, made lifelong friends, and discovered deeper connections to their faith. It's where families came together to celebrate, to grieve, to pray, and simply to be present in the embrace of their commonality. The space is a lot more than sticks and stones. It's a place that holds memories in its walls. In 1923, St. Madaria visited many of the parishes in his new diocese that had been established. And I know here in Kansas City, St. Madaria has a very special place in the history of your community. In 1925, as an archimandrit, St. Madaria blessed the cornerstone of the old church on Strawberry Hill. In 1926, he made a canonical visit to the parish as a bishop. And I think, if my eyesight isn't failing me, there may be a picture in your social hall there where he's in front of everybody after his visit. September, December. He also holds a very special place to our friends on Zoom. In 1923, the church up in Duluth was consecrated by the man who would become a saint. So he was a very busy guy. He was consecrating churches. He was famously riding his bicycle to and from Chicago, bringing bricks to help construct the facility, the monastery chapel. And along the way, he actually found a little bit of time to baptize my father-in-law, Valerie's dad. So, next picture. So when the committee gets formed, this is how we found it. It had fallen into a state of disrepair. Father Time had taken his toll. In 2015, the camp building was actually officially condemned by the local authorities. Most everything that had been at some point in time hosted in the camp building or the facility moved over to New Gračanica Monastery with the idea that that was going to be a short-term transition period until we could get the camp building back up and operational in proper order. And I know many of you would likely have a lot of questions about how that happened. Really? How could that possibly happen, and why wasn't it fixed any sooner? And where are things standing legally, financially, and otherwise? Well, your crew of the mugshots you saw with the steering committee, we dug into a little bit. of it. And so in the spirit of full transparency, we'd like to walk you through what we've learned and where things are today and what we see as the path forward, not just for the building, but for the future of the diocese. So now, here's a little bit of the recent history. As I indicated, in 2015, the building was shuttered, and there was, by 2017, there was an initial campaign to try to renovate the facility, and that ran roughly from 2017 to 2019. And during that period of time, the diocese was successful in raising about $200,000 to fix the work, and it was seed money to start the preliminary work. But the accounting got upside down pretty quickly. While the diocese managed to raise $200,000 for the project, it had spent, if I have the number correctly, about $389,000 for the work that had been done at that point. And then it almost goes without saying, we all know what happens in 2020. The dreaded pandemic hits, everything comes to a grinding, screeching halt, and the project in its very, very early stages died on the vine. So, 2024, with the leadership of one of the men in black, the project gets renovated. So, next slide, Father. Okay, so at this point in time, on HGTV or the Magnolia Network, we'd have a commercial break before we show you the work in progress. But this is how we found the facility at that point in time, with a little bit of work done, but much more needing to be done. Project overview. Okay, so that's where we were. That's the back. That's looking backwards. Now looking forward. So here is a timeline that we've put together that attempts to put into bite-sized pieces a tremendous amount of work that's been ongoing behind the scenes to get this project launched, started, and monitoring its progress toward conclusion. And I don't know, I'm failing in my vision even with my glasses. I didn't eat enough carrots like my tata told me when I was a kid. So my vision's failing. Hopefully you can see some of this. June of 2024, the steering committee is established. In June to November, we went through a very deep vetting process to identify and select prospective contractors. I've been talking to some of you here. This is a beautiful facility that you folks put together here roughly 10 years ago. So those of you who are 20, okay, survivors of that project know exactly how difficult it can be to put things together. So we focused on getting the contractor set up. We did an accounting review. And by September 2024, through the various channels, it was determined that the new facility was going to be named the St. Madalena Spiritual and Cultural Center. Through that winter time, we continued redoubling our efforts with identifying prospective contractors. By February of this year, of 2025, we landed on M&G Unique Construction to be the contractor. Manny Matula is his regular name, but it's Emmanuel, and he's a fellow Orthodox Christian of a Romanian background who, at least thus far, has demonstrated the patience of Prophet Job in dealing with us and all the headaches that are associated with the construction project. Manny's a great man, and we're looking forward to working with him moving forward. In March through May, we had the revisions to architectural plans and drawings. I didn't bore you with all the details of the initial project, but the passage of time outdated a lot of the architectural work that had been done up until that point. So that had to be redoubled. We re-engaged an architect, went through that process. That one wasn't the easiest of ones, but we managed to get through it. And thankfully, in April of this year, we signed the contract. In May to June, it's the permit preparations. In the People's Republic of Illinois, the government has a lot to say about how things work. And that process is in part finished, in part it's ongoing. And working through it. And now May 25 to the present, we're out taking our dog and pony show to parishes across the Midwestern Diocese about the project. There's a big box there at the end. We had to demonstrate that we had 50% funding in hand in order to start the project. Here's some more committee work. Contract signed officially in June, cleanup permits. July of 2025, last month, right? Last month it was the St. Nadaria Days effort, and that was a real great event. Father Plavšić was there with some of the team, and Father Turbo from St. Mary's, wherever that is from here. Yeah, and then you guys survived. We survived the monsoon, right? It was a very successful day. We managed to raise $115,000 through the generosity of folks. Next slide. Here's a sneak peek of at least what I think it's AI or the architect, I'm not sure which one, has generated as to what the facility is likely going to look like when it is completed. Here's a more of a bird's eye view. You can tell that there was an effort to try to maintain some of the original flavor of the facility, but you can see there's a substantial improvement. There is a tremendous amount of groundwork that needs to be done. Anybody that's a civil engineer maybe out here? Moving dirt from point A to point B is a big part of this project because of how dirt works, right? We need to get that all put together. Yeah, it primarily has to do with the, see, I didn't know you were an engineer. It was sloped. So in terms of giving a little bit of a sneak peek about what is going to be in the building, I think this should work. There are the building plans. But there are going to be 24 rooms in the facility, office space, meeting rooms, a bookstore. It's going to be on 2 levels. There'll be a repaved and regraded exterior parking lot area. For those campers, for those of you guys who made it through, there's going to be central air conditioning. Big help. And there will be 16 dorm rooms and 6 convertible rooms that are associated with the project. In addition to the drainage system that we talked about, ADA compliance, everything is going to be up to date. You can see there will be a basketball court, an outdoor patio, and there's going to be, for those ladies who toil away in the kitchen, to be a really up-to-date, nice professional kitchen that's associated with it. So it's going to be practical. It's not going to be ostentatious. The idea is to stay within the traditional bounds of what a monastery should look like. It's not a palace, but a practical, humble place for people to gather in an expression of their faith and in their culture. What am I missing here? So you can see on one of the building drawings there, they're stamped, they're all ready to go. So I don't mean to hopscotch around a little bit, but as the Vladika said, this is real, right? There are some folks out there saying, oh, they're just looking to, build you out of funds. No, this is actually going on, and it's moving along very nicely. I'm going to turn it over to my better 30 seconds, Valerie, to pick up with a couple of comments here.
Great. Well, we have our plans. We have our vision. Now, what is the building going to be used for? We have a primary use, which will be a visitor center. It's going to receive pilgrims. It's going to have a bookstore, an archives, a library. It'll also be revitalizing and bringing back the St. Sava camp program that's been out for many years. It's going to be a wonderful program, and we're going to actually, one of the things that we've talked about is in the St. Sava camp program, it's generally 3 weeks. Something that we're talking about is modeling after the Shadeland program, adding a 4th week of folklore and tambura. So that's in the works. So we're going to do a little bit of digging into that. So the visitor center is the library, the reading room, just to give dignity back to the facility, and most importantly to St. Medadia and St. Sava, Bishop St. Nikolai, the whole entire monastery grounds. Okay. Other building uses. Camp will be what, 3-4 weeks? This is going to be a year-round building. It's going to hold church events and gatherings, dachas, receptions, luncheons. It's going to retreats, youth programs and workshops, choir and liturgical workshops, college retreats, iconography retreats, diocesan meetings, the possibility of having pilgrimages there, that's still in discussion. A lot of just support, conference rooms, so it's going to be a year-round facility. So we have our plan, we have our vision, and now the best 2 words, what do we do with it? Famous words, operations manual. How did we get to where it was? And how can we prevent that from happening again? That's the key. This committee and Vladika have taken this very seriously. We have a committee within a committee working on an operations manual so that doesn't happen again. It's going to be a dedicated groundskeeper to keep the grounds looking appropriate and respectful. Facility use guidelines. When events happen, what do we do? How does that happen? And most importantly, it's preventative maintenance. Fixing the cracks before the cracks and everything breaks down. Making sure we're on top of things and making sure that this doesn't happen again.
Okay, Amit. Okay. So, our call to action. This is the hard part, sportsmans. This is the real hard part. We have a fundraising goal of $6 million. Not quite the 10,000 talents that Vladika talked about today, but it's a daunting number. And it's divided into roughly 2 piles. The building project is 5.5, and as you know from construction projects, I'm going to use a word that my baba employed when she was making cookies, od prilike, about, right? It's going to go up, it's going to go down, but that's our best good faith number based on the contract with Manny and his team. Part of that $6 million is also made up with furnishing the building itself, all the things that you need to furnish an operation like that, from beds to kitchenware and pots and bonsen and all the rest of it, right? And then to really emphasize the point, we're building into a budget the continued maintenance of the facility on a professional basis, right? We can't let it fall into disrepair. So it's a serious investment, folks. It's a very serious investment, but it's also smart and necessary for the long-term sustainability. So, ways to give, right? This is how I've outlined 3 more or less ways to give to the project. One is a legacy brick sponsorship. We have some forms here that we could show you, but the long and the short of it is that you may recall in 2017 there was a campaign for folks to donate money for commemorative bricks, inscribing in the memory of, for the good health of, and those sorts of things. The committee and Vladika were committed to making sure that those older donations are included in the brick project. But the brick project will allow you to leave a physical, tangible mark on the construction project by the purchase of a brick. We're going to get into this in the next slide in a second. Sponsor the build, which is to a far more a larger contribution to the project, and then there's the open contribution. And maybe we should have started with this. I'm not a preacher man, but I don't want the size of this project and the money that we're talking about to forget about the widow's mite, right? We understand that everybody is going to do what they're going to do according to what's in their heart and what's in their pocketbook. And I don't care if Elon Musk gave us the whole project funding. There's going to be a couple above us who gave parts of their Social Security check for this project that's going to sound louder and more importantly than any great donation. So please don't be intimidated by the numbers that you see here. Let the committee be intimidated by that. So no contribution is too small, and I guarantee you that no contribution is too big.
So,
yes.
Just a note that the size of the numbers, you saw the final big round number is 6 million. Let's say that we are now at 3.4 already. It said in that slide that the contractor wanted 50% proof of funding. He's such a nice guy. He also took pledges as proof of funding. At this point, about 1.2 has been deposited into the account, about 770 has been used, and another 2.2 has been pledged. So out of that 6, we are at 3.4. So we're not at 0. And a big part of that was people going $20, $50. We have stuff coming in on PayPal all the time. I get emails, $50, $20, doesn't matter. Whatever 2 mites people have.
Yes. Legacy Bricks, we'll give you some more details about that. Sponsor the Build is going to be our next thing in open contribution. So to hit the Sponsor the Build piece, which is the next slide, we have divided up certain, Vladika, if you could hit the next button, please. We have divided up some of the categories for those of you who may be a little more, okay, you get it, you get the picture, of things, whether it's on a parish level or whether it's on an individual level or whichever level. We have legacy-driven spaces and naming opportunities, if you will. Now, there's going to be no NIL rights on this, but you get the idea of what we're up to here, right? One of the popular things that has been out there from the parishes that we have spoken to is some have gravitated towards sponsorships of some of the dorm rooms. And Vladika has his finger on that pulse much better than I do. But that's something that is really, those are moving fast. And somebody on the committee says, well, maybe we underprice them, but whatever, thank God for it. The Heritage Meeting Room, these are all, some ideas, of what's out there in terms of dividing up things, and folks that contribute on this level, parishes that contribute on this level, are certainly going to be recognized appropriately and modestly in the end project. So if anybody has any inroads with Nikola Jokic, maybe we can get the basketball court named after him, right? So, this is what it's going to take to bring it from before to when Chip and Joanna Gaines give the big reveal, right, on the Magnolia Network. It's going to take a lot of time, effort, and money. Next. So here is a quote from Saintly Bishop Nikolai in describing the St. Sava Monastery grounds. 3 strings on one instrument, and each one you play touches the heart of the serve, such as the famous monastery of St. Sava, Louisville, in the middle of America. The first string is the monastery itself. The second, the cemetery, and the third, the children's camp. The string of prayer, the string of sorrow, the string of joy. And that's what we're trying to encapsulate, trying to commemorate and build upon. Bishop Madaria, Saint Madaria, Vladika, they had a couple of things in common. They were very practical, hands-on people in these construction projects. They didn't leave it to other people. Right? As I indicated earlier, St. Madari rode his bike to and from Chicago with bricks on his back to build the monastery chapel. He was out on the construction site laying stones, right? And when somebody in the press asked him way back when they saw him out there, aren't you the boss? Aren't you, why aren't you supervised? He says, this is built for eternity for my people. Right? Yeah. We did that with the church itself is there for eternity, right? And it will forever be there. We kind of got a D- on the camp building project. So we're trying to bring that into conformity. And then those of you who may not have had the opportunity to read St. Madari's last will and testament, I stand before you as an attorney. And when I was brought onto this project, thought of myself, well, what is my role here other than to shut up, right? And it dawned on me that I feel a bit of an executor of a will. St. Madari said in his dying days, I bequeath to my dear Serbian people this holy monastery as a gathering place of Serbs in America and a common house of prayer, to be forever the house of God, that after my death they may preserve and cherish it, and hand it down as a splendid memorial of their ethnic and religious spirit to their Serbian offspring in this new world and order, that they know forever that there were Serbs on this side of the Atlantic, far from home. I recommend and leave as my last will and testament this St. Sava Serbian Orthodox Monastery in Libertyville to be the seat of my successor, and that he loves the monastery as I did, nourishes it as I nourished it, and with my own hands every tree planted. Having premonition of my departure from this world, I entrust my dear faithful, my dear people in America, to the protection of the Almighty God. I ask from my people, when in the monastery, is to light a candle at my graveside, to say a prayer for the repose of my soul. I will pray for all of you, even after my death. Goodbye. So, those were his words. He left us with an awesome responsibility, and we're here to hopefully bring that one or two steps closer. So, how to get involved? Fundraise, right? If you got kids or projects here, that's a great way to help out. The folks at St. Sava in Milwaukee, they've been amazingly generous. They've committed to a matching of funds that they raise. So dollar for dollar of what they've raised, the parish itself is going to do it. But fundraiser, I don't know. There's 1,000 ways to do them, right? Spread the word, right? Let everybody know that you know. And like the old Breck hair commercial, and they told two people, spread the word about the project, and follow us with updates on the status of the project. Valerie may have some details on that as we move forward. So, go ahead.
I was going to say, we have information and flyers for the bricks. Can take anybody's email address for progress updates. We'll send via email. It's not a problem at all. And we're working on a donor page website where the donors, no matter what dollar amount, they'll be on a rotation and as coming in basis. It's going to be listed. So in the School of Transparency, who's giving, it's out there. So everyone knows what we're doing and how we're doing it.
This presentation that you're seeing and all these flyers are going to be emailed to the priest and the board president and secretary that you can distribute to everybody. And also, you see here a link, social media post. Spread the word, meaning if you believe us, on our word that we're doing this for real, you can repost something about it on your social media if you have such things.
It is. It's really a labor of love for a lot of people across a lot of states, countries, and around the world. I was a few weeks ago with Manny, our general contractor, and another committee member, and picked out light fixtures, flooring, tiling, and someone goes, well, oh, that's never gonna happen. I'm like, it's happening. So I'm excited for this. I'm excited for all our people, from our youngest to our oldest.
And for those who are not with us anymore. So that concludes, this evening's entertainment from Frickin' Frack, Knit and Wit. So we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. No question is too hard. We're here to answer them. If Valerie and I can't, the man in black can. Yes, ma'am.
So, when you finish the building St. Sava, are you planning to move Gračanica camp into St. Sava, or will you build a separate camp?
They're going to be, both camps will still exist, and they'll complement each other. So, and what we're trying to incorporate is dovetailing the dates. Here in Kansas City, you're very blessed to have the if I think I'm saying it right, EOYC. You have an amazing opportunity there for a camp program. We're trying to dovetail all the dates. So Gračanica camp usually starts in June, and then St. Sava camp will start after the St. Peter and Paul fast. So if someone wants to go to Teen Week at Gračanica, they can come over to Teen Week at St. Sava. So, and the forms will be integrated, everything. The demand is so high, and which is a great thing to have so many choices. Because before there were no choices, thankfully we'll have a lot of choices.
So the short answer is yes, both.
Other questions?
Yes, ma'am.
So then, going forward, I'm assuming like the groundskeeper, the different roles you have, those are all paid roles, positions? I'm assuming,
I think that's a fair assumption.
Okay, and then going forward then, who is then managing all the property and, taking care of it so we don't go into disarray like we have?
Well, part of this process is to include a budget for that exact thing. Who that human is at this point, I can't tell you, but there's a silly word that's out there in the modern lexicon, intentionality. There's a decided intentionality to address exactly that by the committee. So yes.
Yes, we'll find that person full-time basis, absolutely. Somebody has to be there, at least one person to coordinate all the maintenance for the whole property. We mentioned our friends from Duluth. They're not imaginary friends. They've been watching on live stream. They had the question, do we have a final date in mind for the completion? I think I mentioned earlier that would be hopefully by the end of June of next year. So we can bless the building, that it can be open for the camp season next year, July of next year, so it can be open for the St. Mardaria Day, which is right after St. Peter and Paul, so hopefully June next year. Any other questions?
You also didn't make comment about the theology school at St. Sava.
According to Metropolitan Longin, the theology school for the time being is staying at New Gračanica. So that when we say that this is a visitor center, Konak, that people can come, as they have been asking since 2017, can I come up there for a spiritual retreat? They haven't been able to. Now, that building is going to be available for those people that they can come and spend the night in these rooms, that the offices function up there. There's room for 4 offices for all the needs of the monastery. Rooms over on the western end, like slightly bigger, slightly nicer than the 10 on the east end for visiting clergy, etc., etc. So the school is going to stay in Gračanica, and not occupy the building 10 months out of the year. Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tip your waiters and waitresses.
This is a good project. Glory to God. St. Sava means a lot to me. I was ordained in St. Sava's Monastery to the priesthood. The diaconate was in Nugachanica. And the monastery means a lot. The monastery building too, I first came there. This renovation is a long time needed. I first came there in 1989, in July of 1989. I think Milana was there. It needed repair then. And I was 7 years old. I realized it needed a lot of repair. So it was a good project. I know Father Milan Bajic and Brother Maria are buried in Libertyville, blessed memory. And other people we know we have it. That's an important place for all the Serbian people and all the Orthodox people, because saints walk there and everyone can drink from that fountain and actually go there and stay and learn. And it's a great place to actually use throughout the year and take pilgrimages. And as a priest, I was going to lead by example. I asked people to donate. I'll donate as well to start off. So a little something from me, like, Padre, you got to lead by example as a shepherd. So please give what we can.
Thank you, Father.
Yeah, I want to thank Sava and Valerie again for coming all the way down from Chicago to give us this presentation. Thank you for taking the time, and all those on the committee. As someone who was on the building committee when we built these facilities, it is a long process. You're away from your family a lot of times. You give a lot of your time, talents, and treasure, which we're meant to do. Our reward will be in heaven. But this, as I told the bishop, we've talked about this at the diocesan meetings for years, and I was always one questioning, you can probably attest to it, what was going on at the diocesan meetings. So when you hear this number of $6 million, think about what we spent here, our parish, okay, our whole project that we did with the land and the church and the parish was about 5.2 for our parish. St. Sava represents North America, Canada, the East and the West Dioceses, South America. $6 million is nothing in reality compared to what we did for just a single church. So I've spoken to the bishop about reaching out to these other dioceses and other Orthodox communities to also contribute to this, because this is the oldest Orthodox monastery in North America. And as they said, it's to see which other Orthodox churches do take pilgrimages to St. Sava right now, and come in there and stay for services. And it would be nice if they could have a facility that they could stay at for an overnight thing, like when Father took people to Serbia and they visited monasteries, how they did. This is our tradition, and this is on the onus of not just all the Serbian churches, but all Orthodox churches across North and South America. And this is not a camp building project. That's the other thing I've heard from a lot of communities. Camp, as Valerie and Sava said, is like 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, so the other 11 months of the year, that building will be used for different things. So as we can, and I know St. George will take this up, and we'll have our own fundraising event for this. We've always supported the diocese. We used to have our own diocesan luncheons, if everybody remembers, because we couldn't attend the picnics and the other activities because we're so far away. So we had a special luncheon that we did, and then we'd take all that money and we'd send it to the diocese. So I know that at St. George, as always, you can count on us to support this project, and we will. But again, we appreciate your time coming down.
Thank you for bringing up the other dioceses. In our diocese, out of approximately 50 parishes, we have now gone through maybe half to show you this presentation. The East and the West still remain completely uncovered. I spoke to the other bishops, have the blessing to do fundraising there. After making arrangements with them, I will gladly go out there, and whoever else can go with me, to do more presentations in those Eastern and Western dioceses.
Do we have a parish in Hawaii?
No. The remaining 2.5 million is not all on you. We have still plenty more ground to cover. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Grace. If there's no other questions for the presentation, then we want to go on a little bit and honoring our Father Joseph. But again, thanks to Valerie and Sava.